Do you know those tension-filled moments that sometimes happen out of the blue with a woman? For example, when you make a lighthearted joke or a charming compliment, and then there's this brief moment of silence where you just both look at each other, neither of you looking away. Or when another guy suddenly joins and starts chatting with her right in front of you, and then there's that moment when she pulls back a bit and stops responding to your messages right away. Most men react automatically in these situations. They want to break the silence, diffuse the tension, or somehow relax the atmosphere. Sounds logical, right? But what if I told you that these very moments are the key to creating real attraction? That it's not about easing the tension, but actually staying in it. And that doing so is what makes a woman curious and sparks her desire. In this video, I will reveal 5 secrets to holding that tension in a confident, masculine way. Let's be honest, in a dating world where it often seems like women have all the control, this might be just the best thing you can do to really stand out. I will give you specific examples on how to handle these moments and create exactly the type of tension that ignites a spark in her. And most importantly, you will learn how to fully savor these moments, rather than diffusing them by stepping in too soon. I'm Götz, and about 10 years ago I left Germany behind and moved to the Philippines. Why is that relevant here, you now ask? Simple. Over here, women still long for a true gentleman. Someone who courts them in a traditional way, opens doors, treats them with respect and attentiveness. Classic dating is still very much alive here. And a key part of that is knowing how to handle those natural moments of tension that arise in any romantic approach. And choosing the right dating platform is essential for success. Imagine dating in the Philippines, a country where over 90% of the population is Christian, with strong traditions and values that create a unique dating experience. Since 2009, ChristianFilipina.com has been connecting people who are serious about finding long-term relationships. They offer unique services like romance consultations and the second opinion option to ensure that the person you are interested in truly has genuine intentions. You will also find the link below the video in the description, so give it a try and sign up at ChristianFilipina.com. Honestly, let me know how it goes. I would love to hear both success stories and lessons from experiences that didn't go as planned, so we can all learn from them together. I can't tell you how many men end up sabotaging themselves in exactly these kinds of situations. As soon as there's a bit of tension or a brief moment of uncertainty, things get frantic, and most guys don't know how to stay calm and handle it smoothly. Don't get me wrong, I know the feeling. When I was younger, I blew countless chances because I'd lose my composure and try to immediately dissolve any uncomfortable tension. Looking back now, I sometimes shake my head at my own rookie mistakes. At countless parties, I've had many interesting conversations with women. Often things would be going great. We'd be hitting it off until suddenly that silence would set in. That special silence where you think, now what? We would have eye contact, neither of us looking away, with tension hanging in the air. But instead of letting that tension simply do its thing, I would start to panic inside. I felt compelled to say something, anything. And in doing so, I ruined the atmosphere we had just created. Why? Because I couldn't handle staying in that tension. With the woman I was dating back then, things played out just like they often do in those early infatuated phases. We texted each other constantly, often in a silly, playful way, because that's what you do when you're smitten, right? Then came our first kiss, and in that moment I thought, this is it. I did it, finally. I felt like I was reaching my goal. A few days later, full of excitement, I texted her, I really want to see you tonight. I was sure she would reply right away, just as enthusiastic. But what did I get? Nothing, just silence. The evening passed without us meeting, and I was disappointed. The next morning I checked my phone, still no response. Let me pause the story here to point something out. The tension you might feel reading this, that uncertainty and unease, that's exactly what was going on inside me back then, only much more intense. And this type of tension is pure gold for attraction, if you know how to handle it. Back then, though, I had no clue. After 2 days with no message, I was starting to unravel. I wondered if I'd waited too long to suggest another meeting after the kiss. Maybe she thought I wasn't really interested. My head was spinning with questions and doubts. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and wrote her, not just any message, but one where I poured out my feelings. Looking back now, I realize how embarrassing it was. I really spilled my heart out, and of course, I thought the word love was appropriate. And yet, at that point, we'd only shared a single kiss. Her response eventually came, but not at all as I had hoped. She replied politely something like, "Thank you, that was really sweet." And when I tried to turn that into a plan to meet up that evening, she just said, "I'm tired today, maybe another time." And just like that, the spark between us faded. I had snuffed out that fragile spark we had built by trying to get clarity too quickly, destroying the very thing that made it exciting for her. What I didn't understand back then, but learned painfully over the years, is that tension in dating isn't your enemy. That uncomfortable feeling you get when things are uncertain, when you're not sure, that's not a problem to be fixed. It's an asset, not a flaw. With another woman I knew, I eventually realized that I was firmly in the infamous friend zone. I was the guy she would fall back on when things didn't work out with other men. Yet I still wanted to meet up, convincing myself that maybe this time something more might happen. Then an idea struck me. Why not just cancel the plans? No explanation, no suggestion for rescheduling. Just cancel, leaving her uncertain about what's going on. Give her a little space to wonder. Did I do something wrong? Is he upset? Has he met someone new? So I canceled the meetup and waited. It didn't even take 15 minutes before she messaged me asking, "Hey, is everything okay with us?" or something along those lines. There I was with her message, wondering how to respond. Panic set in. Should I answer now? What should I say? Will she get angry if I ignore her? Then I thought, just ignore her. After all, she had ignored me countless times before, and each time I had come crawling back, hadn't I? But in the end, I couldn't go through with it. Eventually, I picked up the phone and called her. For an hour, I explained how I felt and laid all my cards on the table. In hindsight, I tried to convince myself it was the right thing to do, but it wasn't. The real problem was that I couldn't handle the tension. The uncertainty about what she might be thinking or how she would react was simply too much for me. Was she angry? Would she forget about me? The truth is, most of us make this mistake at some point. We send a follow-up message if we don't get a reply. We need immediate clarity about where we stand. We confess our feelings too soon, or we try to clear things up before there's even a real spark. What many men don't understand is that tension is exactly what makes the attraction phase so powerful. Tension keeps her thinking about you. It builds anticipation and awakens a desire in her to want more from you. But let's be honest, chances are you will react like most guys. Whether it's feeling unsure about what she is feeling, wondering if she wants to kiss you, or worrying she will get bored if you are quiet. Most of us want to dissolve that tension immediately. In doing so, we smother any small spark of attraction, like an overzealous firefighter who ends up doing more harm than good. Why does this happen? It all comes down to what I call the comfort paradox. A huge misconception many men have about attraction is the belief that the key to winning a woman over is to make her feel completely comfortable around them. They think if that they can make her feel safe and smooth out every bump and uncomfortable moment, she will automatically want to be with them. But this couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is this: striving for comfort can destroy attraction. It is often the beginning of the end of desire. Here is the paradox. You need to dissolve tension and make everything pleasant and safe actually creates more problems. The reason is simple. If you constantly signal to her that you can't handle tension, you come across as insecure, and that's unattractive. Tension, that deliberately controlled tension, is a fundamental part of attraction. Women are drawn to men who can endure discomfort and maintain tension without immediately seeking a solution. Think about it. The most exciting stories, the most thrilling movies, the most engaging conversations all have something in common. There is risk, uncertainty, that feeling of not knowing what will happen next. This is what keeps people hooked, and it's exactly what keeps a woman interested, engaged, and attracted. When you eliminate tension, the excitement vanishes too. If you try to be too comfortable and predictable, you quickly become boring. Simply put, boredom is the death of mutual attraction. In what small moments do we avoid tension? For example, when we give her safe, predictable compliments, or when we don't challenge her views and opinions, or when she does something disrespectful and we just brush it off. We give her information she doesn't really need, like if you're out with friends and she asks exactly who you are with, where you're going, or if other women are there. Often it's our need to reassure her, to provide security, but in doing so, we destroy the tension. You might be thinking, but isn't that considerate? At first glance, maybe, but deep down, this behavior is driven by something else: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, and fear of losing her approval. And this fear makes us come across as needy, weak, and ultimately unattractive. One of the most masculine qualities you can have is the ability to withstand tension. It may even be the most important. To be clear, masculinity doesn't mean having muscles, giving orders, or always being in conflict. It means allowing yourself to stay in moments of tension rather than running from them. A man who acts from a masculine place isn't afraid to disagree with a woman, to playfully tease her, or to flirt confidently, instead of always following the nice guy script. This is exactly what women find irresistible. And if you're wondering why women seem so different, there is a book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts by two renowned neuroscientists, Ogi Ogas and Zai Gadam. These scientists conducted a massive study on sexual desire. Their goal was to discover what genuinely attracts people, and they took an unconventional approach. Instead of directly asking men and women what they found arousing, the researchers analyzed billions of anonymous internet searches. The findings were fascinating. Men's and women's sexual interests often differ significantly. While men tend to respond to visual stimuli like images and videos, women are more drawn to stories and complex relationships that often involve tension and an element of unpredictability. For men who want to be more successful in dating and understand women better, this means that the key lies in bringing as much tension as possible into their interactions. The question is, how can we create situations where the tension builds? And how does a man stay in that tension, even amplifying it, until the woman can hardly resist? Take a look at the stories that really captivate. None feature the nice guy showing up with a bouquet of roses and instantly winning a woman's interest. Evolutionarily, this makes complete sense. The ability to withstand tension is a sign of strength. This is exactly what women subconsciously seek: someone who can stay strong when things get tough, who stays calm and can guide them through chaos without losing his composure. The guy who can't hold eye contact for a moment without blushing or looking embarrassed? No, that's not the image women find attractive. The guy who's afraid to lean in for a kiss because he worries it might be too soon? Also no. When you're able to hold onto a bit of tension, you're showing her that you don't feel the need to clarify everything right away. You signal confidence by letting the situation breathe and allowing the atmosphere to unfold naturally, which gives her the freedom to relax. So let's go through some of the most common moments of tension and why they are so important. The first is what's known as the pullback test. One of the classic moments of tension happens when a woman suddenly pulls back, even though things seem to be going well between you. Maybe she stops responding to your messages immediately or cancels plans at the last minute, just like I mentioned at the start of this video. Or perhaps you don't hear from her for a few days. Most men panic in these moments. The urge to reach out, to find out what's wrong, and to reassure her of your affection is strong. But that's a trap, as I've learned from my own mistakes. And I'm pretty sure nearly every man has made this mistake at some point, probably more than once. The urge to chase after her as soon as she pulls back is the surest way to kill attraction. Why? Because it shows that you're eager to dissolve the tension instead of calmly holding your ground. Her pullback is often a test of your inner strength. She wants to see if you lose your composure, become needy, or crumble just because she's not giving you constant attention. If you can resist that urge, you demonstrate confidence. You show that your self-worth doesn't depend on her giving you instant validation. It communicates, I'm still here, I'm steady, and I'm not shaken by this. That's attractive because it radiates strength. Chasing after her, on the other hand, screams insecurity. Now you're probably asking, but what if she doesn't like me? What if she really is pulling away? The answer is simple. A key part of masculine mindset is not clinging too tightly to the outcome. Remember this, it's a fundamental principle of self-assurance. Enjoy her company, but don't depend on it. If you take things easy, it's true that she might not always come back, but if you become needy and insecure, you can be certain she definitely won't. The pullback test often says more about you than it does about her. Do you have a scarcity mindset that makes you want to cling to her before you even really know her? Or are you emotionally independent, unaffected by whether or not she's giving you attention? Another example of a tension test is pauses and silence. Imagine you meet a woman at a party, you're having a good conversation, there's some chemistry, and then a moment of silence arises. Do you start to get nervous? Do you feel the urge to fill the silence with unnecessary talk, weak jokes, or random questions that turn the conversation into a kind of job interview? Here's the thing, if you rush to fill every quiet moment, you are showing her that you can't handle the tension, and that kills the vibe between you. But if you let the silence be, you're showing her that you're relaxed, confident, and don't need to force the conversation. You give her the chance to think about you, feel the moment, and most importantly, let the atmosphere shift in a seductive direction. Here's something you should definitely keep in mind. Many men who try to avoid tension overlook one crucial point. Escalation requires tension. Every interaction reaches a moment of tension before it moves forward. Whether it's because you want to make a move to kiss her, suggest a more intimate setting, or scoot a bit closer to her on the couch, it's in these moments that most men feel the tension, and it's here where they hesitate. They feel the desire, want to take the next step, kiss her or hold her hand, but then they start overthinking, doubting themselves, and in the end, nothing happens. Hesitation is a real attraction killer. It signals to her that you are unsure of your own desires, and if you're not confident, why should she be? In a moment, I will give you some practical steps to help you feel more comfortable in tension-filled moments and incorporate the skill into your masculine presence, making tension a natural part of you. But here's a quick thought. The most successful people in life, whether they are pro athletes, entrepreneurs building a business, or top salespeople who close more deals than everyone else combined, have one thing in common. They are masters at handling tension. You're watching this video to learn how to improve your interactions with women. So, put simply, the ability to endure tension is crucial if you want to be successful in any area of your life. Now, as promised, here are a few situations where tension is often prematurely diffused and tips on how to avoid that in the future. Overtexting. I have mentioned this already, but if she's acting distant or you sense something's off, don't bombard her with messages like, is everything okay, or did I something wrong? This comes across as needy and kills the tension. Backtracking. If you make a joke and then immediately backpedal because you are worried she might misunderstand or feel offended, you lose your assertiveness. You quickly explain yourself with something like, it was just a joke, or if you playfully tease her and she doesn't immediately laugh, you panic and add, I was only kidding. While polite, this actually shows insecurity. Nervous laughing in serious moments. Have you ever noticed this behavior in kids? They tend to laugh nervously when they're unsure of themselves. When you do this as an adult, it signals that you struggle to handle tension, revealing inner insecurity. Excessive or unnecessary apologizing. Of course, an apology is appropriate if you've generally done something wrong, but many men over-apologize to ease tension, even when it's unnecessary. Phrases like, "Was that too direct? Sorry, I didn't want to make you uncomfortable," show that you're insecure and too focused on her approval. And finally, seeking reassurance when uncertainty arises. Naturally, you want to know where you stand, especially if you feel the situation is uncertain. But constantly asking questions like, "Are you sure everything's okay? Do you still like me? Was our date good?" undermines any attraction she may be feeling. Constantly seeking reassurance makes you come across as needy and insecure. Let me sum it up quickly. Avoiding tension is the hallmark of mediocrity. If you want to live an average life, then by all means dodge every form of tension. Women unconsciously test your ability to handle tension. Be aware of this and learn to lean into it rather than avoid it. Tension isn't your enemy, it's your chance to show strength. Instead of panicking, use silent moments to your advantage. Hold her gaze, stay relaxed, and perhaps even move a little closer. We've already discussed that tension is key to escalation. Without it, you can't make real progress with a woman. If you keep trying to diffuse the tension, you will never experience true advancement. Maybe she even teases you playfully, says something mildly provocative or a bit insulting. Often, this is a test of your attitude. If you react defensively, you failed the test. But if you respond with humor and confidence in that masculine frame we've been discussing, then you pass. Say, she remarks, "Oh, I bet you bring all your dates here." Instead of justifying yourself, you simply smile and reply, "Of course, but you're the only one who hasn't tried to escape yet." You stay relaxed, playful, and in control. This shows confidence and avoids any hint of neediness. Trying to please everyone destroys attraction. If you work to make everything smooth and conflict-free, you strip the situation of the very tension that fuels strong desire. Here's a key truth that many men need to hear. If you want a woman to fall for you, she needs to feel a certain level of uncertainty. The possibility of losing you is essential for building attraction. If this uncertainty is removed too early, if she feels she has you wrapped up from the start, her attraction is unlikely to go beyond those initial stages. Too many men try to eliminate a woman's uncertainty quickly, hoping it will improve their chances, but in reality it harms them. Real growth happens outside the comfort zone. Your comfort zone can quickly become a cage that keeps you stuck in mediocrity. If you want to grow in an era of life, you have to embrace discomfort rather than avoid it. And so you don't leave this video without practical tips. I would like to share a few exercises that will help you find out how comfortable you currently are with tension. These exercises will give you insight into how women respond differently when you learn to lean into tension. Because as I always emphasize in my other videos, you don't change simply by watching. True change comes from practicing, and applying what you've learned in everyday life. So what do these exercises look like? It's simple. Hold eye contact in each interaction for 2 seconds longer that feels comfortable. Before responding, count silently to 5, then answer. Delay replying to messages by at least an hour. The purpose here is to assess where you stand with your ability to manage tension. I want you to find out your limits. Where do you start to feel uncomfortable? You might think 5 seconds of silence, that's easy, but is it really? When you are talking to a woman or in a conversation at an event, can you actually let silence linger without panicking or feeling the need to fill it? Many men are surprised to find they can barely hold eye contact for even half a second, let alone 2. This is about understanding where your comfort zone ends and where you might need to practice. You may realize that getting comfortable with this discomfort is key if you want to project strength. 2 final things to keep in mind. First, as I mentioned, why not give christianfilipina.com a try? Dating takes time, and in the months before you can travel to the Philippines, online dating is a great way to start building a connection. Plus, it gives you time to practice. These exercises may feel uncomfortable at first, but by the second or third time you'll start noticing this isn't so bad, and soon, hey, this is getting easier. But that leap is yours to make. You're likely feeling motivated right now, so what's stopping you from diving in? Look around. There's a friendly face nearby. Go introduce yourself right now.